Hi, this is Cheryl Gallant, your Conservative Member of Parliament for the patriotic riding of Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke. On Saturday, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre delivered a powerful speech that's resonating with Canadians. He gave a powerful defense of Canada, our history, and a plan to restore the promise of this great nation. As Canadians shared the speech online, donations have poured in. Pierre spoke from the heart, and Canadians can sense his authenticity. After 9 years.
Do you think it was easy for Terry Fox's cancer-ravaged body to run across our land, pounding his one and only leg again and again on lonely highways with chipped bones and blistered limbs to fight the disease that would later take his life? No, none of this was easy. Making Canada was hard. Those are the people who built and defended our country through sacrifice and struggle, but they did not go that far and travel that long so that we could take the easy way out and give up. Like them, we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We are in this together. We are at this place in this time because we have a job to do, to pass on intact what we inherited from those who came before us to those who come after us. Parce que le Canada vaut la peine qu'on se batte pour lui, pour notre peuple, pour notre terre, pour notre chez nous, pour le Canada, because our country is worth fighting for our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada first, always and forever. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
After 9 years of being directed by a drama teacher, the Liberals are trying to swap Trudeau out with a new leader designed in an advertising firm's boardroom. Canadians can smell this corporate Liberal BS from 100 kilometers away. They want the real deal.
Everyone now admits, or they claim to admit, that Conservatives were right on the Liberal capital gains tax hike, that Conservatives were right on the carbon tax, on pipelines, on LNG, on fentanyl, the borders, immigration, and the need to celebrate rather than cancel our proud history and country.
Deal.
And secondly, what we're going to do is make sure not that the government pays, not that we as taxpayers pay, but the large polluters pay. And so what happens...
But does that not ultimately trickle down?
No, because what the big companies are producing, by and large, are not products that we are consuming. There's some element of that, but by and large, you know, a steel company, how much steel are you using these days, Todd? I mean, not as much we used to. So anyway, so that...
In his second interview with a Canadian journalist, he was forced to acknowledge that cars are made with a ton of steel, and his plan to carbon tax steel will make cars more expensive.
And look at the overall producer carbon price, and let's take the example of the steel industry. Yep. So there's a carbon price on steel. To the extent to which that's paid, yes, that does show up in the cost, for example, of an automobile. Mm-hmm.
If you add the 25% American tariffs on steel and then add Mark Carney's carbon tariff on American steel products, plus his carbon tax on steel and his carbon tax on aluminum and his carbon tax on plastic, you won't be able to afford a car at all. You'll owe nothing, and Climate Barbie Carney will be happy. Carney, not knowing cars are made with steel, was embarrassing for his campaign. But then Carney dismissed the deaths of 50,000 Canadians by diminishing the fentanyl crisis. The NDP Liberal policy of giving addicts drugs instead of treatment is a crisis. Each new teenager who becomes hooked on so-called safe supply puts a new family in crisis. The NDP Liberal policy of giving drug dealers bail, not jail, turns the drug crisis into a drug war as gangs kill one another's young recruits to gain territory. The NDP Liberal plan to confiscate the property of hunters means less money to prevent illegal handguns from crossing the border. These wacko far-left policies are all plucked from the globalist playbook, an elitist globalist playbook that Mark Carney brags about following. Take a look.
I'm connected. I can deliver for the country. And my weakness is, people will charge me as being elitist or globalist, to use that term, which is, that's exactly, it happens to be exactly what we need.
In case Mark is watching, let me explain the mistake. An elite plumber will fix your broken sink in record time. An elitist plumber looks down at you because of the kind of sink you own. An elite athlete wins gold medals. An elitist athlete looks down on house league athletes. An elite politician knocks a major speech out of the park. An elitist politician thinks voters are stupid and gullible for not loving the carbon tax. Mark Carney not only thinks that, he said it out loud at his campaign launch. Liberals will try to claim he misspoke. They'll claim Carney isn't an elitist, he just thinks he's an elite globalist, the best globalist, the gold winner of globalist games. Just the kind of elite globalist Mark Carney likes to think Canadians need right now. Now, breaking news. I don't think Canada needs an elite globalist or a global elitist as a never elected prime minister. Shocking news, I know. But some of the many, many reasons, one of them leads us to Carney's biggest gaffe. A globalist will not put Canada first. And the number one job of the Prime Minister of Canada is to keep the country united, strong, and free. When Sun King Carney declared that he would use the federal government's emergency powers to force through projects, he revealed his lack of respect for Canadians.
Something that my government is going to do is to use all of the powers of the federal government, including the emergency powers of the federal government, to accelerate the major projects that we need.
There is a reason why the federal government does not use what are known as the emergency powers, which include the power to nullify provincial laws. It's because doing so would tear the country apart. Careless Carney needs to watch his words before he tells us what other radical policies he has planned to divide our country and weaken us. Live from Ottawa, this is Cheryl Gallant.